Hey, so I'm currently staying in Ouray, Colorado, and I'm staying at this place called the Twin Peaks Resort. You can see the sign there, and it's named that because it's named after this mountain behind me. So that tree's actually blocking. Oh no, there it is. So you can see up there, there's two peaks on top of that. So I call it the Twin Peaks. That'd be a good opportunity to explain this concept of the 90-day training plan, which is part of the promotion playbook. So in the book, we talk about 7 strategies and 4 skills to get ready for a promotional test in the fire service. One of the strategies is to make a detailed training plan. And so this mountain gives a good metaphor for that. The first day we got here, I ended up hiking up that mountain, and it was a pretty good hike. It was almost 3,500 feet of elevation. The total hike was about 8 miles. And it's a pretty good climb. It was a good hike. And I use the metaphor of a mountain to explain setting up your training plan. So if I look at that peak up there and I say, hey, I want to get there in a few hours or a couple hours, however long it's going to take. I need to plan that out in advance, because I don't just jump from here. I just don't start where I'm at now and all of a sudden jump up and land on top of that peak and arrive. So with the training plan, the metaphor is that up on top is the prize that you want to get to. That's of having a successful promotional test. And this is where you currently stand. So the first part of that is identifying what the prize is that's where you want to be. And in terms of evaluating your promotional test, that's where the 4 skills come in, which the 4 skills we reference are study, speak, write, and apply. You can categorize any type of test that you're going to face into those 4 categories. And once you have those 4 categories, you can start to make your training plan and break it down from there. So I won't get into the details of the 4 different skills, but in the book, you can see this just a way to categorize the different parts of the test that you can expect to see. So your training plan, in order to reach those Twin Peaks right there, you're going to need to have a plan. So you start with a plan, and then from there you break it down. What I recommend is that you have a 90-day plan. So first off is, where do I want to go? You set your destination. I want to be standing on top of that peak. And if you go up there, you can get right up top. There's a great view up there. So you want to get up to that peak. And so what do you do to get up there? First off, define where you want to go, then define where you're at. And from there, you could start to reverse engineer your path backwards down to here. So how that looks for the training plan is that you say that's all the work that you need to do to get prepared for this. You need to do oral boards, you need to do size ups, you need to be prepared for written exams, you need to do hands-on practical applications. You get all the stuff you have to do, and say, by when I reach this point, I'm going to be prepared by doing all this work to get there. It's going to be a lot of work for me to close the gap from where I am now up to that peak. There's a lot of work that I have to do. So I'm going to start, and the earlier you start, the less of a path that you have to follow. So the earlier you start, the easier the daily work can be. But if you procrastinate and say you only have a few weeks before the test, it's going to be a lot steeper climb. You can still get there, but the grade is going to be much steeper to reach that destination. Whereas if you start now and say you have at least 90 days, maybe longer, you can have a more gradual approach to get up there. Or you can just do small steps at a time and break it down into smaller. So that represents the 90-day plan, your destination, that's where you want to get. From there, you reverse engineer it, and what I recommend is that you break it into 3 different steps. And I'm going to use the metaphor of 90 days. So in 90 days, you break it into benchmarks, 3 different benchmarks. So you have a 30-day benchmark, which, let's just say there's the top of the peak there. Let's say the 30-day benchmark is to make it to that spot there on the mountain. And then let's say the 60-day benchmark will be to there. And then on the 90 days, all you got to do is close the gap from 60 days up till 90 days. So when you're making your plan, you want to set dates and have a certain degree of work accomplished by that date. So in 30 days, I need to do this many size ups, this many oral boards, this many practical applications. It's going to get me here. And then that way you can check in where you're at. So you have your 30-day benchmarks, 30, 60, 90 days, you arrive up top. And then in between that, you have your weekly check-ins. So I had an experience. I was hiking yesterday. I took this trail and I took the wrong trail. And fortunately I had a map with me on my phone. And before I got too far down the trail, I ended up checking in and I didn't get too far off course. But what could have happened if I didn't do that is that I could have just not looked at the map and I could have ended up a mile or two off course. And then in order to come back, I would have had to come all the way back. So 30, 60, 90-day benchmarks, and then you divide these up by weekly check-ins. So part of your plan is each week you check in to see if you've made these incremental steps. So 30 days is here, and in that 30 days, there's 4 different check-ins along that path. And then in between that is the daily work. So you commit to doing work every single day, or however much you commit, 5 to 6 days a week. I recommend taking a day off per week. So say that you do 5 days a week and you commit that every one of those days, you're gonna train at least 4 hours. If you do that in 5 days, you're gonna have 20 hours of studying in per week or training in per week, and you're gonna incrementally make a lot of progress over time. So that's it. So 90-day target, know where you wanna go, break it into thirds. So 30, 60, 90-day benchmark. So you check in at those intervals, and then break that into a weekly check-in and then the daily work, so that every day you know whether or not you're on course with where you want to be. It becomes a specific measurable outcome. It's like, I want to get there, and not just leave it up to luck or chance or some vague understanding of what an assessment center could be. Once you get up to that peak, you're ready and you have your best chance of victory on game day. So that is strategy. It's one of the strategies in the book, and you can reference the book, which breaks it down and gives you the details of it. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the other videos. Bye.